Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Was there some sort of spiritual ceremony to actually have her deemed the godmother?
He was Christian at our church.
He was christened at the church. The two of you go to church together.
We've gone to church together since we were little girls. I've known her for over 20 years.
People change.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Keisha Milton claims her ex-best friend is not only a bad godmother to her child, but she purposely destroyed her yard. Ms. Milton is suing Patrice Bolden for $1,285.02. Ms. Bolden claims she was doing the plaintiff a favor, and she feels it's not her fault that the plaintiff's property was damaged.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Third, Deputy Thomas. So Ms. Bolden didn't turn out to be the godmother you were hoping for.
No, she didn't.
Well, then why'd you make her the godmother in the first place?
She was there for me through a rough time in my life, and I care for her.
I said, why did you make her the godmother? And you said she was there for me. I think that speaks volumes. What's the nature of the relationship right now, Ms. Bolden?
It's pretty strained. I've put up with as much of Keisha and her unrealistic, ridiculous, materialistic, emotionally draining. Emotionally draining.
You're gonna have to learn to start articulating how you feel, because you clearly are holding back.
Right now, I still think of her as my friend in my heart, but we don't have a friendship at this moment. It's kind of on pause, and whether or not it goes from being on pause to stop or play is totally up to Keisha.
And whether or not you win this case.
That, to me, is not relevant to whether or not I could lose the case. That would not determine my friendship. How Keisha chooses to treat me as a friend would.
Did you hear what she just said? It's not even about the case for her. Even if she loses. She doesn't like how you have made her feel. And you made the decision to ask her to play the role of godparent for your daughter.
Son.
It was your son. How old is he?
5.
5. What's his name?
Ronnie.
Ronnie. And out of all the people, would there be someone, if Miss Bolden were not the godmother, who would be Ronnie's godmother?
I don't know if he would have one.
No one.
Not to say that there aren't people, but at that time, the depth of our relationship made me choose her, and I didn't really have that with anybody else at the time.
There's no one
And so we can all be on the same page here. Why do people choose to name individuals as godmother, godparent, godfather? Do you know?
Maybe because of how they feel about the person, the trust that they share.
I'm saying the role,
with the
traditional
person.
role of a godparent.
So I think she has a very warped idea of what a godmother is.
That's her opinion.
I'm not even talking about the two of you. Why do people typically choose to...
So traditionally, historically speaking, a godparent is a religious title.
It's a spiritual connection with the child.
Absolutely. Which is how I interpret it.
Would you agree with that, Ms. Milton?
Yes.
That if anything were to happen to you or as someone else, she steps in. Would you agree to that?
Yes, I do agree.
Okay. Did you take lightly naming her to be the godmother of Ronnie?
No, of course not. No.
Okay. You thought about this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You felt it was in Ronnie's best interest to have Miss Bolden as his godmother.
Yes.
What's the relationship between you and Ronnie?
I love my godson. He's the best thing ever. He's the most adorable, beautiful little boy. Spirited, intelligent. We have a great relationship.
Barely now. I disagree.
So again, back to what the godmother role is versus what it should be.
Was there some sort of spiritual ceremony to actually have her deemed the godmother?
He was Christian at our church.
He was christened at the church. The two of you go to church together.
We've gone to church together since we were little girls. I've known her for over 20 years.
People change.
Coming up on America's Court.
She provided 2 ponies for her godson.
Yes.
Bad godmother. What kind of woman are you?
She didn't even tell me about
That's going to provide ponies for a 5-year-old.
I surprised her
Get out of my
with the
courtroom.
ponies.
And later.
I completely stopped eating. I kept throwing up. I kept dieting until I was overworked, exhausted, so tired that a week later in the restroom at the company, I collapsed on the ground and an employee found me and sent me to the hospital.
Closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-68. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Keisha Milton, who is suing Patrice Bolden for negligence.
How did she change?
I feel like she's supposed to be there for me and for my son. And I feel like now she is not being there like she promised. She made a commitment,
that a two-way
and I
street?
feel like
Ms.
she's
Bolden?
being there. Like
The
she
two of you
said
go to
she
church. Is that correct?
would. Yes.
When one person in the church is speaking, do you hear the other congregants talking over them? Because I haven't been to a church like that, so I just want to make sure. Is that the church you all go to?
Only when they say
You all
amen.
go to the church of what's happening now, or what? I mean, what are we talking about here? Let's get back to why we're here. And the reason why we're here is because you said she had not been here for you. But specifically, this amount, $1,285.02, is for what?
For the damages that her gift, which was 2 ponies, it was the damages from their destructive visit in my backyard.
She provided 2 ponies for her godson.
Yes.
Bad godmother. What kind of woman are you?
She didn't even tell me about
That's
it.
going to provide ponies for a 5-year-old.
I surprised her
Get out of my
with the
courtroom.
ponies. No, we did not. I did not let her know beforehand I was bringing the ponies. However, when we were planning the party, because we planned it together, she had mentioned.
I'm following with you.
Okay.
Apparently there was a party, I take it. Well, let's start with a party.
Birthday.
It was a birthday party.
Yes.
And this was for Ronnie turning
5.
5. And you thought, was it going to be a surprise, the ponies?
So it wasn't a complete surprise. It wasn't a surprise that I came up with my own. She gave me the idea. She mentioned while we were planning the party that Ronnie had really wanted these ponies.
Is that true?
We see these ponies at a lot of events.
Was there ever a conversation about
She
ponies?
claims
There was.
there is, but honestly, when I think back in my memory, I don't remember telling her that Ronnie wanted ponies at his birthday party, at any birthday party.
How many children were at the party?
About 25, 30.
You were not prepared to deal with the ponies? Is that what happened?
They destroyed the grass. They ate and tore down vines and flowers and pooed everywhere.
How did we get to $1,285.02?
That was what it cost for the yard to be repaired. The grass.
Are you disputing, Ms. Bolden?
Did I tell you that my best friend is the best storyteller I've ever met? She should really write novels.
Oh, objection.
She should write novels. If she were writing her stories down, she wouldn't need 2 jobs right now because she'd be
Let me
J.K.
ask
Rowling
you a
rich.
question. You're telling this court, and you have been sworn under
in.
penalty of perjury,
Yes.
that she's lying, and so this money is for what? She just wants
I
money
believe
from
that
you?
the money is for the lawn. So she's been on the property for a few years. Her aunt had not maintained this property before her moving in there, and so the lawn had needed some care anyway.
So somebody's lying.
Right. I don't even know who
One of the
lawn
church
that
folks is lying.
One of the,
Now,
which is not a
you gave
surprise.
me a document here showing a very pristine green lawn and then a lawn that looks a little ragged.
Empty.
Which is the lawn that I need to be aware of? Is this once the money was paid to get to restore it to its natural state?
Yes, on the right.
When was the photo on the left taken?
A couple of days before the landscapers came.
Okay. Now, how long were the ponies there?
They were there about 2 hours.
2 hours. By looking at this picture and by presenting this as evidence, what you're saying is that's what the lawn looked like. And this is not your yard, this is someone else's yard.
aunt.
And they were saying, I want my lawn redone.
Yes,
And you had
absolutely.
to pay it, and now you want to be reimbursed.
Yes.
I got it. based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel will come down in favor of the defendant. When I look at this, it is not conceivable to me that in a 2-hour period that this level of damage was caused, because some of this grass is just dead anyway. So we're not, sit down. Have several seats.
Yes, please.
And so when we talk about this issue of credibility, yours is lacking. And unfortunately for you, you're going to have to eat that cost, because I'm not saying that it may not have caused damage. I'm saying that you weren't able to prove it based on what you submitted. We started from the conversation of this case is not about the money. It's about the relationship that the two of you have. And everyone wants to think this is the magical place when we talk about godmothers, and you were like, she should be doing this and she should be doing this. You picked her. You picked her. She has a relationship with your son. God forbid something happens to you, I don't have any doubt that she's going to do everything in her power to try to do right by him. And that's the takeaway. Your matter is dismissed. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
I was just trying to be a good godmother to my godson. Keisha needs to reevaluate what the word means.
I tried my best to get the judge to understand that her ponies damaged my lawn, but I guess I just came up short today.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
I completely stopped eating. I kept throwing up. I kept dieting until I was overworked, exhausted, so tired that a week later in the restroom at the company, I collapsed on the ground and an employee found me and sent me to the hospital.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Jordan Chen claims her boss forced her to wear a fitness wristband, which caused her compulsive exercise disorder to resurface. Ms. Chen is suing Parker Davis in the amount of $1,230. Mr. Davis claims the wristband was meant to encourage employees to prioritize their health, and he shouldn't be responsible for Ms. Chen's medical expenses.
Ms. Chen, I read and considered your complaint. It's an interesting case. This was a little challenging for you, and let's talk about it.
Well, Your Honor, this is my former boss,
Yes.
Parker Davis. My name is Jordan Chen, and I was his former employee, and he was trying to unite all the employees, and he gave us each a fitness wristband because he saw an article online that said if all...
Well, I tell you what, let me actually hear from, since he's here. Sir, you have a business. You wanted all the employees to adopt a more healthier lifestyle.
Yes, Your Honor. Nobody came to me with any problems or requests other than Ms. Chen.
Okay, let me go back to
take
Ms.
it
Chen.
off.
You had an issue with wearing the fitness band.
Yes, I came up to him the first time. I was like, I need to take this off. This is not helping me. I'm really stressed out about it. He's like, I don't understand.
What were you stressed out about?
Well, because not only do I have to perform well at work, I also have to deal with how many calories I'm eating. I can't even perform my top if I can't eat enough, and I also have to work out, and I'm tired from working out every morning, then going to work, just to perform better. Because
Then why not just take it off?
I didn't want my job to be at jeopardy or something like that, because I don't know what he's going to do. And
All right, well then, now that you've said that, did she come to you, Mr. Davis, and say, I do not want to wear this device?
Yes.
What was your response to her?
I told her that the team culture within the company was important and I would like for her to continue to wear it, which she then did.
She said, I don't want to wear it anymore. You told her, I want you to keep wearing it.
Yes.
Okay, but it didn't have the positive impact on you, because unbeknownst to Mr. Davis, there had been some other issues with you.
When I was younger, my mom was also leading a fit and active, healthy lifestyle. I started exercising compulsively, and I stopped eating. And every time I ate, I had to go to the restroom to throw up. And I didn't want to not fit in at the company and be shunned and be laughed at because I gained a few pounds and I didn't progress like all the other coworkers.
And so what happened?
I completely stopped eating. I kept throwing up. I kept dieting until I was overworked, exhausted, so tired that a week later in the restroom at the company, I collapsed on the ground and an employee found me and sent me to the hospital.
Coming up on America's Court.
So it took her having to experience and relive this issue of bulimia and compulsive exercising disorder for you to get it.
Closed captioning provided by.
Attention, if you were exposed to Roundup weed killer for a year or more and develop non-Hodgkin lymphoma, you may...
This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Jordan Chen, who is suing Parker Davis for medical expenses.
I need help with the emergency room bills, everything.
You have proof of that?
Yes, I do.
That's where the 1230 comes in?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're talking, and I'm listening, and I think I'm hearing, you were dealing with bulimia.
Yes, I was.
Did you fire her?
I did not. She left the company a month later, and I was sorry to see her go.
So it took her having to experience and relive this issue of bulimia and compulsive exercising disorder for you to get it. And you mean to tell me you can't resolve this? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm prepared to make a ruling. I want the two of you to go outside. I want you to have a conversation with her and figure out what you want to do. And then you all come back and let me know what you've come up with before I decide. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to take him out the side door.
We'll be in
Folks, you
recess.
come with me. This court is now in recess. Remain seated.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
Remain seated and come to order. This court is now back in session.
Deputy Thomas, are the litigants ready?
Yes, they are, sir.
Bring them in, please.
You got it. Folks, if you would, come on back in and go right up to the podium.
All right, Ms. Chen and Mr. Davis, you've had a chance to talk amongst yourselves. Mr. Davis, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
Now that I'm aware of certain things I wasn't aware of before, I have offered to pay Ms. Chen's medical expenses, and I've also asked her if she would come back and work for my company again.
Ms. Chen?
I'm still reconsidering that because I'm still kind of embarrassed that my ex-coworkers know about my eating disorder, because that's a dark side of my past that I didn't want anyone to know. And I'm really unhappy to stand here today. So I'm still reconsidering the job.
Here's why I'm glad you came today. As we speak, whether it's someone in this courtroom or someone watching, they needed to hear your story.
That's true.
So I'm glad you came here. And I'm glad to hear that Mr. Davis has agreed to pay your expenses. Had I ruled, you would have lost your case, because ultimately it would not have been foreseeable on his part to have recognized that this was something that you were dealing with, and you always had the option. The reason that I'm telling you this is because whatever job you are in, know your rights, there are remedies available and resources available. But now that we have Mr. Davis's word, and I'm going to honor your word, sir, because your word is your bond. So this case is dismissed. Good luck to you both.
Thank you.
Thank
Case
you,
closed.
Judge Ross has ruled the defendant will pay the medical expenses and rehire the plaintiff.
I really appreciate how the judge handled the case, but I really have to reconsider whether or not I want to go back to that company.
I still feel good about my decision, even knowing that Judge Ross would have sided in my favor. She was a great employee, and I want her back.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.